I think everybody has wished they were their favorite superhero at least once in their life. I mean, who wouldn't want to be able to stick to walls or fly as high as you could possibly see? But if these heroes were real and they came to you in a time of tragedy, I think most people would drop whatever they're doing to go spend time with their favorite hero. And this is the blueprint for most sidekicks stories, as they aren't typically dragged into this life. Most of them run towards it because they idolize that hero, believing that being around them will elevate their greatness. But before you do that, I think you should really consider the hidden costs of what it takes to be a sidekick. And I don't just mean broken bones and bruises, I mean the cost of your identity, the cost of what it takes to grow up and exist entirely in someone else's shadow. Starting off with our very first example, we'll be talking about Robin, and for right now, we'll be talking about the Dick Grayson version of Robin. Dick Grayson's heroism isn't accidental. After his parents were murdered, he wanted justice for their death, and with having a good clue on who did it, Batman actually stops him, letting him know that the two gangsters work for a very powerful crime boss, and revealing his knowledge could eventually lead to his death. And after Batman tells him the story of his own parents' death, Dick actually asks to be by his side. And it is after extensive training that Dick Grayson does become Robin. But unfortunately, choosing to join Batman means inheriting his wars. He was constantly sent to face tasks meant for grown men, facing psychopaths that didn't care at all that he was a teenager. And in almost every continuity, Robin is either beaten, tortured, or killed repeatedly. In the DC Extended Universe, Robin was killed by the Joker after Batman was the one who sent him on a mission alone. Joker set Robin on fire and graffitied his suit, which he would leave for Batman to find. And even the Joker asked Batman why he sent a boy to do a man's job. And being Robin was something that was supposed to empower Grayson, give him a sense that he could conquer any of his battles. And while he does turn into Nightwing in almost all continuities that he isn't killed in, the tragedies stop far from there for Dick Grayson, making his time as Robin just another source of trauma to layer on top of the first. And then came Jason Todd, someone that could follow up as the successor to Dick Grayson as Robin, and he suffers nearly the same exact fate. On the search to find his biological mother, he is eventually handed over and captured by the Joker. And the Joker captures both him and his mother that turned him in, beats them and tortures them, leaving them to die in a ginormous explosion. And when he comes back as Red Hood, he wants to get a vengeance on Batman, being as he believes that him not killing Joker any sooner is the cause of all of this happening, showing that being Batman's sidekick did not protect him, and if anything, it endangered him. And this pattern isn't just isolated to Gotham as well. If we take a look at Bucky Barnes, while I know he isn't a traditional sidekick like Robin is, he followed all of the orders of Captain America that he was given because he knows it is Steve Rogers, his childhood best friend, and that they are fighting for the same purpose. They are both on the good side. But when the war starts to escalate, Bucky's not able to keep up with Steve because he lacks the super soldier serum, so therefore he ends up getting into the position where he falls off of a train and is presumed dead. But unfortunately for Bucky, death was potentially a better fate, as his body was captured by Hydra and he was experimented on and completely brainwashed to become what we know now as the Winter Soldier. For decades, he became another man's weapon, with his identity completely stripped away, and every single tragedy that would happen to him all stems from the fact that he wanted to fight for justice with his best friend. Being someone who wanted to do anything to fight beside a hero became that very thing that he is meant to stop, and that is the hidden risk of being a sidekick. You run into things that you are not ready for, and if something goes wrong, you don't become a martyr, you are just a casualty. I think another good example is Hit Girl. Unlike many sidekicks, she didn't even get a choice. She was trained from childhood by her father to wage the war on crime, and she grows up believing this is normal. She idolizes this mission because it's all she's ever known. But when her father dies, she's left all alone in a world that never gave her a real childhood. Sure, she can fight and survive, but she doesn't know how to be a kid, and and for that reason she immediately takes Kick-Ass on as a student as long as he promises to teach her how to be a normal girl. And I think that's another cost that we don't talk about a lot, the fact that sidekicks often trade their adolescence for combat training, giving away any chance they ever had at being a quote-unquote real kid to follow in line of a crime-fighting vigilante. I mean, if we go ahead and take a look at stories like Young Justice, this theme is essentially the whole premise. It revolves around sidekicks and young heroes wanting to gain respect and independence from their mentors' shadows. And there's characters like Kid Flash who want to prove they're more than just a backup hero. And what happens for that? He dies trying to save the world. Which leads me into my next unfortunate cost, which is the fact that you are far more story expendable. Their deaths raise stakes without collapsing a franchise, and that is the brutal reality of it. Killing Batman reshapes the entire DC universe, while killing Robin can reshape Batman a little bit. And villains play on this a lot, as sidekicks constantly become emotional leverage, and while this isn't the exact same, the Green Goblin constantly talks about how he has to aim for Peter's heart, and that's the reason that he goes for his Aunt May. Take Superman for example. How do you hurt someone that is bulletproof, gun-proof, bomb-proof, anything you want? You can't physically harm his body. There's only one thing you could do, and that's play on his heartstrings. And these sidekicks themselves go through a lot of psychological issues as well, with the main problem being that sort of sense of lack of identity, because when your entire role is defined on who you stand next to, who were you when they're gone? The earlier mentioned Dick Grayson had to become Nightwing to escape Batman's shadow, not because he failed as a Robin, but because staying Robin forever meant that he was never gonna be himself. And many sidekicks eventually evolve into something else, not out of ambition, but more so out of necessity, because remaining the partner forever means you are remaining a secondary option for your entire life, complacently. Nobody would ever enjoy to be constantly compared, constantly measured, or live in someone else's shadow. You can be as smart, brilliant, brave, powerful, whatever you want, but you'll always still be Batman's sidekick. But at the core of almost every sidekick story is the same motivation, the motivation to matter, and not just to help, but to have real significance, to have their trauma and their pain finally mean something. But unfortunately, the superhero world rarely grants that wish without extracting payment from you. While the main hero gets all the spotlight, it's the sidekick that actually gets the brazen of most of the scars. And for me, I think that's why sidekick stories resonate so deeply when they're done well, because unlike gods and billionaires and super soldiers, all the sidekicks, they feel real, they feel human, like me and you. They choose that path of being bigger than themselves, and we get to see them survive the consequence of that choice. A slight side tangent, but this is why I love the story of Attack on Titan so much, and especially early season Eren, as he is the complete embodiment of fighting for freedom in something more than just yourself. Being inspired by a hero is completely safe, but standing beside one is not, and the cost of being a sidekick isn't just the risk of dying, it's the risk of losing everything you are and everything you had to stand up against someone that's unforgivable. Sometimes they rise above it and other times they fail to, but no matter what the outcome of the story is, I imagine no sidekicks finds themselves paying the price that they thought they would have to pay. But if you guys did enjoy this video, it'd mean the world if you drop a like and subscribe to me, and let me know any ideas you want to see next in the comment, man. I promise I'm trying to get to every single one of them I see. But you guys have an absolutely blessed day. Deuces.